Thursday afternoon chat. Your favorite artists with Jayar.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, will you please put your hands together unless you're driving for one of my favorites on our playlist, Mr. Phil Wickham. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you, man?
Good. This is, we had, I think it's 2 years ago I had you on, and I'm one of those guys that's like a worship nut. Like I gravitate to the ones, to me there's just something special about the certain number of people in our industry that write the worship songs that are sung around the world. And I have no musical chops, but I'm jealous of the people that have a voice and can write songs that you sitting in your bathrobe on your front porch in San Diego can write a song that tribes in Africa will sing. You know, it's a powerful thing. So I'm a huge fan of those of you. So.
And what an honor to be counted among, I mean, all those guys are my heroes, you know, Matt Redman and Tomlin and the Bethel Crew and Jesus Culture. They're all guys that I've listened to, and they're on in my house all the time as well. And so to be counted among them at all is what an honor.
Or the fact that they could be fans of yours, those guys.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. That's crazy. It just, man, what a cool community to be a part of. That the community of people that get to put new prayers into the church's mouths. Like, what a crazy honor, you know, and a privilege, and just trying to be as faithful to that as I can.
Yeah. Let's just dive right in here. You just walk me up Living Hope.
Yeah, Living Hope is a song that has meant a lot to me over this last year and a half. You know, I've been leading worship at a church for the last 2 years called Harvest Christian Fellowship in Southern California. Pastor Greg Laurie is there, and he's an amazing communicator, evangelist. But it was incredible writing songs this time around for the first time, not just with a record in mind, not just with kind of what's my expression, what is God showing me, but writing songs to put new prayers in my community's mouth to go along with what, you know, the scriptures we're reading through and the spirit that's happening in the church, and, you know, just to kind of to add vocabulary in songs to what's already happening, you know, and so it was really freeing to not have to like be an artist, but be more of like a servant for the church. And then all of a sudden, I realized, hey, I've got enough songs for a record. This is amazing, you know, and most of them are songs that were born out of just wanting to sing new songs with my church, you know. And Living Hope is kind of the spearhead, front runner of all those songs. That's just kind of taken off, even way before the record came out. It's just become an anthem in our church, and it just was one of those ones that would change the atmosphere in a room whenever we'd play it. And just thought, man, there's something special about this tune, and now it's been amazing watching other churches connect with it.
We were talking about this a bit ago, Phil, that you are, in my mind, you know, obviously, you never want to be walking around going, yes, I'm in the group of the elite, because you don't want to sound arrogant. But you are, I'll say it. But who appears more on your, let's just say, iTunes or Spotify playlist in that format with the name Hillsong, Bethel, Jesus Culture, Elevation? Which one is saved the most?
Oh my goodness,
on your list?
They're all there, man. You know,
I haven't counted.
I mean, it's the songs that I love. It's the people and the songs. I've got this amazing benefit of like becoming friends with all these people that lead me into worship, and that it makes this deeper sense of leading happen. You know, where like I trust the people that are taking me to places that I know they've gone there before with God. You know, and so going up to Bethel and meeting with friends up there, and hanging out, and then leaving, and then putting out a new record where I kind of heard it in its infancy at the church it was born at, and now it's on a record. It just makes me feel even more so connected. So, man, I really listen to mostly what my wife listens to at home, you know, and we always have worship music on at home. And so right now she's listening to a lot of Bethel. We got that Moments record going, and the last Bethel record. And I think largely because she's becoming friends with them. A lot of times I become friends with these crews, and then I come home like, you got to meet, you know, Brian and Jen, or you got to meet date night. You got to meet Mac Brock. You know, he's amazing, and so she's just been connecting with them, and so it's funny. Anytime she'll come out on a tour with me, and she'll like really connect with an artist, or she'll come to a church and we'll connect with the worship band. It's like later that week I'll just hear from the computer some of that church's music playing, and
does your wife fangirl on?
No, she's the opposite.
Okay.
She's like she's just like she really wants to trust the people like that are like she wants to know them first before she like really gets into the songs, you know. So she'll be like, yeah, Bethel's fun, or yeah, Hillsong's nice. But then if we have like a great like a situation where we're all at the same place and worshiping together, she'll be like, okay, well, we'll listen to that for the next month, just because she loves the hearts behind the music so much, you know. Like same thing. I remember I was on a Leland tour with my wife before we had kids, like years ago. Me and Leland were out together, and we just became buddies. Yeah. And so for the next half a year, it's just like Leland on in the house all the time. And, so yeah, I just kind of follow where my wife wants to listen to at home.
Right. If we had a lie detector or something,
yes.
Who loves San Diego more, you or Switchfoot?
My goodness.
Who's the most proud San Diegan, you or Switchfoot?
I mean, I love San Diego, but they are like, they kind of stand on that. They kind of raise that flag probably more than me. So maybe them, you know? Yeah. You know what? Because they surf. I'm not a surfer, so they're like taking it. They are full on San Diego. You know, they're like they have sand in their hair whenever they go anywhere. So.
Right. Yeah, I feel like they are in the brochure.
Yeah.
Move here.
Yeah.
The deal. Because before they'll talk to you about a song, they'll remind you where they're from.
Totally.
Deal. But you've started to have this, maybe not as much as them, but people are starting to associate. San Diego guy. He'll mention it.
Well, I'm very proud of living there. And we actually live in the same town in San Diego County too. It's called Encinitas, and so we're around town a lot. And what a cool little beach town. We love it. Yeah,
one I'll throw on that list is I think POD was very proud to be from the SD.
We're in the South Town now, you know. Yep. I listened to POD all the time in high school. It's hilarious. It's amazing. They were awesome. I remember them coming to my youth group before they like had the big Satellite. Right. Was that record called Satellite?
Yes.
Before that record, I remember they coming to my youth group and playing concerts, you know, and then they just exploded. But
I have the same story about Mxpx.
Right.
Mxpx.
I loved Mxpx in junior high, man. That was come on, poking at you? Yeah.
I went to high school with them, and before they started actually selling records.
Are they from the Northwest?
Bremerton.
Yeah.
Moved to Bremerton.
That's right across the Sound, right?
Yeah.
I played at the Roxy there.
Oh, really?
Yes. Is it still there?
I've been gone for 15 years.
That's a cool little theater, though.
Yes, and they were very proud of Bremerton, and I lived across a 10-minute drive from Bremerton, and we would make fun of each other's towns. Like, we didn't like Bremerton, they didn't like Port Orchard, but Bremerton embraced the area. And same story of your POD is I didn't like Mxpx because they looked very rebellious. So they would, as a Christian kid, Mike would show up in youth group with tattoos and dyed mohawk, and I'm like, this kid's so disrespectful. And then all of a sudden, when I went through my graduated high school, I fell in love with that punk sound, and I became now I got a tattoo.
Life in General was the first record I ever bought.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So Emotion.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
it's my middle name.
So good.
Yeah. Anyway, so this has become the POD Mxpx Phil Wickham interview here.
Yeah.
Let me ask you your artist choice. Let's not go singles, anything like that. What is your favorite song on the new album that I can play?
Man, I'm so bad with favorites. I mean, Living Hope, there's a reason why we call the record Living Hope. I've come to love that song because of what I've seen it do in rooms live, you know, but since we've already talked about that, there's a song called Till I Found You on this record that brings me back to this moment. Again, at the end of a church service, we gave an opportunity for people to accept Jesus, and it was just this really special moment. 40, 50 people came forward, and it was just kind of this impromptu thing. And I remember in that moment at first just kind of feeling like, sweet, church is happening. This is neat, like cool, and just kind of kept playing the song and just felt like God was just kind of opened my eyes a little bit to His heart, because I remember looking down and seeing this dude with tattoos kind of up his neck and looking buff and tank top and like eyebrow ring or something, just like tough looking dude, but he was so broken in the best way, with his hands lifted and his eyes closed, and just coming forward and finding a love that's never going to fail him. And I felt like that's what God was saying. It's like, it's not 50 people. It's not a fit crowd of 50. These are 50 individuals. And their whole life, I've wanted them a part of my family. Yeah. And now today, I'm like overjoyed. I remember I just felt like God was showing me just a glimpse of His heart. And it made me just think like, man, I don't want to miss those moments where God is moving, and I'm just kind of like going with the motions, you know? And so that every time I sing this song, it brings me back to that moment of just like, man, I don't want to miss the sacred, you know, that's happening all around us if we just have eyes to see. And so, yeah, Till I Found You.
Let me just toss this last one at you, Phil. When you've written, so many songs now that corporate worship settings around the world, not just the country, are singing your songs. But when you have a night off where you're not leading, say you and your wife are just attending a church service, and the worship band decides to do a song that you penned.
My favorite. That's my favorite.
Is it tough for you to focus, or do you people watch?
No, I think it's just more of like I feel so blessed.
Yeah.
It's probably tough for me to really join in, almost because I feel like I don't want people to like think I like love my songs like the most, you know, like just like it's like, oh, let's lift our hands, yeah. But I can't. It's just I'm trying to think of an equivalent of it. I just feel like so honored and blessed because that's exactly what they're written for, and to be there in those moments of like, wow, like no one in this place is thinking of anybody's name. Yeah. They're just thinking of what they're singing, you know. And I got to be a part of making that happen, and it's just so much bigger than me.
Yeah.
That's a big part of what I love about writing songs for the church. It's like like your own expression, your own art, even artistic, kind of like the way you'd want to go as an artist, like kind of takes a back seat to just serving your community. And there's something difficult in that sometimes, where it's like, man, I would want it to sound like this, but you know what? I don't think that would connect to my church as much as this, you know. So there's a little bit dying to self sometimes in this search just to serve the community with new prayers, but at the same time, I think there's such a massive blessing in that too. If it's like this was really meant for this, you know, it wasn't meant to express like. It was meant to express my heart, but more than that, it was meant to express my community's heart. Yeah. And to give a soundtrack to what's already going on. And so when it's working and not just my community, but like a one across the country, or even this Living Hope song, I think I've heard it in Portuguese and in Singapore and in Spanish and in Chinese already. It's just been translated. And it's like, no one of these people know anything about me. Yeah. But they're singing the truth in this song, and I'm just like, it just floors me. It's amazing.
Well, what if a corporate worship setting starts singing, all right, Enter Your Love Awakens or something, and you look over and somebody's on their phone?
I mean, I don't.
Just kidding.
Yeah, I just don't think of it at all.
This
is a
great song, bro.
Yeah,
you need to put that.
I guess you kind of choose as a worship songwriter to kind of relinquish. I mean, you still feel some ownership, but at the same time, you kind of relinquish some ownership for the cause. Like, it's not like, you know, I think it'd be different if I wrote like a love song, and I'm like, this is an amazing love song about my wife, and someone's covering it at a coffee shop, and people aren't paying attention. I'd be like, guys, come on, this is a great song. I wrote that, you know.
Very emotive.
Yeah, this is all about life, you know. But because that's more like about, I don't know. But I think the other way, it's just like, man, God, like, this is for you, you know, and kind of relinquishing in some senses ownership. Like I'd rather it be sung in all the churches of the world and no one have any idea who I am, rather than people know who I am, and it's just, you know.
Before we part, how close were you to, I know you go to Church with Greg Laurie.
Yes.
How close were you to Harvest Fest? Do you play at it?
Harvest Crusade, is that what you're talking about?
The big thing they just...
Yeah, at Anaheim Stadium. Yeah. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Do you play at it? Are you associated with it?
Yeah, the last 5 or 6 years I've played at it, and the last 4 I've been kind of the in-house worship guy. So I'm there. Okay. I'm kind of there to do whatever they, like, you know, start the night with two songs, do the offering song, do the invitation moment, that kind of thing.
So how in the world can they tell you to take down a billboard? With that I've talked about that on the air.
Man, you know, it's the best thing that could have happened.
Right. It made national news.
Yeah.
And
I think it brought so much attention. For those of you who don't know, I mean, they've been listening to you talk about it, so they probably do. But there was a billboard in this shopping mall in Orange County, California, that had Greg just holding a book up. Yeah. It didn't even say Bible, or didn't have a cross on it. Yeah. But some people complained, they were offended that it was like an overt Christian religious thing in this public space. Yeah. And so they took it down, and then it just, like, Fox News caught wind of it, and then other news caught wind of it, and Greg was all of a sudden for 2 weeks he was like doing interview after interview after interview in New York, Washington D.C., and L.A. And so it brought all this attention to the night, and I think it was way better attended because of that. I think a lot more Christians were inspired to invite non-Christians. You know, man, I think there's like 12,000 people gave their lives to Jesus over that weekend. It's crazy. 12,000.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Well, the reason I talked about it was because I was sort of outraged that, all right, that billboard comes down, but on I-5, every single gentleman's club billboard gets to stay.
Yeah,
it's just
like
a
that offends me.
World we live in right now.
It is very bizarre. It's backwards.
Yeah. New album is now out from Phil Wickham called Living Hope. It is always great to see your face and love your heart more than anything. So thank you for the time.
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it so much.
The Thursday Afternoon Chat. Your favorite artists with Jayar.